Hey, what's up everybody, Jenazad here. So I thought I'd make this video to talk about the daily, weekly, and monthly things you should be doing in Wuthering Waves, because a lot of people seem to be confused about what they should be doing, and they're missing out on a lot of possible rewards, especially in the weekly and the monthly sections. I would say most people understand what to do during the dailies, but you might be missing something. So I'm going to go through all these in order, and also if you enjoy this video, consider subscribing to the channel, because I'm going to be making a lot of Wuthering Waves content in the near future. So first of all, the very obvious and most bare bones possible thing is do your dailies. Duh. I think most people are doing this to be able to level up their union level. It's pretty obvious overall. It unlocks it at around level 8, I believe. More importantly, once you've reached around level 30 for your union level, you can start farming gold echoes. It's recommended you start farming the elite class echoes. You don't have to go super hard if you don't want to, but some of them spawn a lot less than others. For instance, if I'm trying to farm these freezing type echoes and I go for the rose shrooms, there's a ton of them. You can get them about 4 times as much as some of the others. But if I want to farm a tambourinist, there's not really all that many on the map overall, so the sooner you start killing some of these and target farming them, the better, because you can't actually use 2 of the same echo on the same character. I can't use 2 tambourinists or 2 rose shrooms, for instance. So it's recommended you start farming like the rose shroom, this mech, and the tambourinist all at once if possible, but mainly these 2 just because they're rare spawns on the entire map. Next is a pretty obvious thing overall. Make sure you're spending your wave plates here, but also the first 2 refreshes using astrite are actually not too bad. It's 60 astrite for 60 wave plates. The first 2 cost that much, and then after that it starts costing 120. So if you're really trying to push for a certain resource or just trying to level a little bit faster, it's not the end of the world if you do this, since this game has been kind of insanely generous recently, so you're not really going to lose out on too much overall. But also, know where your flowers are. I know a lot of people don't want to pick mint, but sometimes marking certain locations can be useful. For instance, this is where peacock flowers spawn for Gian and for the main character, and I reached a certain point where sometimes I needed a bit more because I bought out the pharmacy over in main town, and since some characters share the same resource, you might need a little bit extra. So make sure that you get some of those. They respawn every single day, but that's overall pretty simple. Next, and this is something a lot of people don't really realize, collect Lampy Lumen. So this is an ore that you can find around Tiger's Maw. It looks like this. You break it, you get a Lampy Lumen. Pretty simple, right? If you teleport to this waypoint, it will take you right to where most of the Lampy Lumen is, and it also is on the path to this boss, which is the Lampy Lumen Myriad. So to get here, you originally have to go to Tiger's Maw Mine, the very, very bottom, and you're allowed to go underground all the way through this path. There is, however, a quest that actually blocks this off, so if you're currently in the middle of that, you might have to finish it first. Also, once you finish that quest, you unlock the Tiger Maw Ore Shop, and this guy buys that Lampy Lumen that you're collecting. And he's able to sell you a 4-star weapon box selector, which can be really useful for a lot of players. It sells the same weapons that you can actually craft at the shop, but overall, a lot of people probably aren't going to have that. He also sells blue upgrade materials for your skills. That's the second tier ones, which can take a bit to farm for characters, but he sells 10 of each of those and you can buy them for Lampy Lumen as well. So the sooner you start farming this stuff, the sooner you can start upgrading some of your skills with that, and especially get the 4-star weapon, especially if you're free to play and don't have any of the really good ones. So next, let's talk about the weeklies in Wuthering Waves. So if you look on the map right here, I'm at the synthesizer in the main town. So if you go right here and you look at the second tab, you're actually able to craft up to 10 basic energy cores every single week. It may not really seem like much, but it's definitely going to add up in the late game if you've made a lot right now, because then you might not have to waste any of your wave plate energy actually farming for weapon experience. So it does cost this floor amber, but that's the stuff that you find all over the map. So if you happen to pass by some of it, you may as well just hit it a couple of times to break it, because it does add up in the end. Next, there's also the pharmacy right here in the middle of town. You can find it at the very bottom floor of Zinzhou. If you talk to this lady, she actually sells a bunch of upgrade materials for characters, and they do reset every single week. So if you need to get those flowers, for instance, I bought out all the peacock flowers, every week you can buy a big supply, so maybe you don't really have to hunt them around the world too much, but she does have all of them. Be careful though, because I believe I heard about somebody accidentally spending like 20 million coins or something accidentally on buying these materials. I'm not really sure how that can happen, but somebody made a huge mistake. Finally, you should make sure that every single week you are getting your weekly upgrade materials. So there's a few bosses on the map that drop things like this. A few characters use these ones from Scar. A few characters use some from the giant turtle right over here, this big bell. And then finally, once you finish the entire story, a few of them actually use the statue of the Crownless Heart boss, the Dreamless Feather. So make sure you get those every single week. The higher level your world is, the better, because you'll actually get more possible drops. You only get 3 of these every single week. And as you start upgrading the characters, you're going to start needing a lot of them. So the sooner you start using them for your main characters, the better. Finally, let's go over the monthly plus things that you can do in Wuthering Waves. I say plus because there's actually a few things that we're not sure if they're exactly a month or more, and we don't really know the exact date of them, but we do know that they apparently reset. So first, let's go over the most obvious one: when you go to the store. So every single month in the oscillated coral section, you'll be able to buy 6 standard pulls, 6 limited character pulls, and 6 limited weapon pulls. So in a game such as Genshin, they don't actually have a separate currency for weapons and characters, but this game does, so you're actually able to buy 6 of both of them. That means over time, you are eventually going to be able to get a limited weapon, which is incredibly good since they're 100% pull rate, no 50-50 shenanigans. And of course, the standard banner pulls are going to be useful along with the limited. They give you 6 each, so make sure that you have enough of this coral to actually be able to purchase them every month. Next, we have the Tower of Adversity. This resets approximately every month or so, maybe up to a patch, but right now you can see it resets in 14 days and 16 hours, probably because it's in the middle of one of its seasons and the game just recently started. So you want to make sure that you do all of 3 of these if possible, although it's going to be difficult since we're newer players. Get as many of these rewards as you possibly can. It will add up over time, especially some of these upgrade materials, but the shop currency is actually going to let you buy some useful stuff here, including this little skin. This actually only changes how the monkey looks. I don't believe it actually gives you the echo as well, but stuff like these tuners are incredibly helpful. Grab everything you possibly can. Use the currency up because every month this shop is going to reset. Next, we actually have the Depths of Elusive Realm, and this is something a lot of people don't quite realize. So it currently has an event running for it, so people aren't sure if it's going to stay or if it's going to leave or what's really happening. But so every single month, you'll see on the bottom left, it says 31 days approximately, so it was 34 days total. You'll be able to buy all this stuff in the shop, and you see the timer. Some people are confused, are they refreshing or is this whole thing going away? Well, you see they actually put something out about that. There's this post, Depths of Elusive Realm. It's a challenge. It will open up different resonator choices each season. So that's why when you go in, there's only a small selection of characters, because each season they're going to add and remove different ones. So it'll kind of mix up what's going on here, and they're going to reset all these rewards. As you can see in here, you get this much Astrite, you get the Phantom Impermanence Heron, these 2 malleable elite class echoes, which are absolutely amazing. Everyone should really pick those up, the tuners and the sealed tubes. So try to run this as much as you can during the month, have some fun, do the trial characters and all that kind of stuff, but it does actually reset approximately every month or season, as they call it. Finally, we have something that a lot of people don't realize. So a lot of people have seen these red enemies around the map. They're the ones when you might be level 5 and you suddenly see a level 120 bear and you wonder how you're going to beat that. Well, a lot of people realize how to beat it just by dodging their attacks and doing the attack after, because it does percentage damage to them, breaking their posture, and using intro attacks all do a ton of damage to these enemies. When you kill them, they usually drop really good echo. If they're at least level 60, they will always drop a gold echo every time. You can also go to your friends' worlds to farm them if they haven't killed them yet, because it's just free echoes for everybody, so it's super worthwhile. But more importantly is this final line right here. These enemies will regenerate sometime after being defeated. We don't actually know how long it's going to take, because in the beta, they never came back. But the fact that they have this means they're going to come back at some point. It could be a week, it could be a month. We don't really have that information since there was no precedence for this before, but that means it is actually worthwhile to farm these as soon as you possibly can. It also means maybe it's good to have a rotation group up with a couple of friends where you all hop to each other's worlds, clear them all out, get some guaranteed good echoes, especially if you're earlier on in the game and you don't have access to gold echoes. This could just be a fun thing to do with friends, but it's also just really efficient because that guarantee is super nice. Anyways, that's about it for me. I hope this video helped you, because some of these things people don't quite realize exist in Wuthering Waves, and they might be missing out on a few free things that they might be able to get. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like or subscribing to the channel, and I hope to see you next time.